Welcome to Horror Bois. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And for this week, as a special Christmas present to our audience, joined by the OG Horror Boy himself.
Isaiah.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
We got him back, guys. I promised you I'd get him back for special occasions, and I did it. And there's no more special occasion than today, the day that this is coming out, Boxing Day / Kwanzaa, where we celebrate by watching Jack Frost 2 Return of the Mutant Killer Snowman. Isaiah
Is there any better Kwanzaa movie?
Yeah.
A revered tradition.
Yeah. Isaiah, he missed us watching John Carpenter's Halloween, but hey, he's here for Jack Frost 2 Return of the Mutant Killer Snowman.
Yeah. Only the most important.
Yeah. He'll skip those lame movies.
Black Christmas, forget about it. Jack Frost 2?
Yeah. Jack Frost 1? Doesn't have the time for that. Also, just scheduling.
I truly didn't. Yeah.
I mean, he did. Yeah, scheduling wise, it's just the way we record ahead of time. Like, this was the week we could get him. But yeah, so let's talk about Jack Frost 2. Let's talk about the people behind the scenes. We got writer-director Michael Cooney, who's returning from the first movie and has nothing really else on his credits. We have composer Chris Anderson, who also hasn't done much else besides this and the original. And we have our director of photography, Dean Lent, who's pretty much done this in the original. But hey, we do have some people who've done a couple things. We got our special makeup effects supervisor, Jerry Maccaluso of Wishmasters 2 through 4. Movies we have not covered yet, and I have no idea when we will. But we did cover the first Wishmaster, which he was not involved with.
Yeah, sad.
And he also did the special makeup effects on Halloween Town 1 and 2. So he's a legend. That's right, he did Calabar's cool makeup in that first movie.
It's revenge.
Yeah. Well, his makeup wasn't as cool in the second one.
That's fair.
And then we also have our special effects coordinator, John Hartigan of Leprechaun 2, Candyman 2 and 3, Hellraisers 4 and 5, and technically, something that will make him technically a Horror Boy alumni. We didn't mention him then because I didn't bring it up, but he also worked on Freddy's Dead. The final night.
All of the sequels that everyone loves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we blame John, Hartigan for that movie going forward in our canon. No, I'm not.
They say Godfather 2 is the Freddy's Dead of the mob movie world.
I don't know if that's
a lot of that is due to him.
I feel like maybe Godfather 3. People I think hate that, but no, I don't think. I think Godfather 3 might be the closest thing to the Freddy's Dead of the Godfather franchise. Just by process of, it's the third one that people don't like, and there's only 3. There's no other choices for worst movie in the franchise.
Yeah, it's a fairly small pool to choose from.
Alright, well let's start. We've got through all the, preamble. Let's talk about the meat of this. The meat of this movie. What happened in this movie? Well, we open the movie with Sam at therapy.
You could call it that, yeah.
I mean, it is. It is technically him talking to his therapist. Sam is played by the returning late Christopher Allport. Sam's therapist is played by the late Ian Abercrombie, who is technically a Horror Boy alum for being in Puppet Master 3, which is a movie we covered on our commentary tracks, not an actual episode. So if you listen to this podcast, he's not a Horror Boy alum. But if you're one of those 10 people in 15 years who discover our channel and watch all the commentary tracks, he is technically a Horror Boy alum when this episode came out.
He's better known as Elaine's boss in Seinfeld for a good chunk of the show.
I did not have that written down, so I'm glad you brought that up. We also have some more horror relevancy for him. He was also in Army of Darkness. And, lastly and most importantly to me, and only me, He is in Season 3, Episode 5 of Buffy, titled Homecoming, where he plays a character titled Old Man, who's a man-in-the-chair type for a secret agent dude who's trying to hunt Buffy down in Slayerfest 98. As we all remember that episode. Someday I'm going to make Chris do a Buffy podcast just to watch him suffer. Actually, he wouldn't even suffer. It's a really good show. But that's a running bit that you kind of started after you left, Isaiah. Whenever a character was in Buffy, I bring up everything they did. Like in that
There's
episode.
so many characters who have been in an episode of Buffy.
There are 3 more in this movie.
Oh, God.
So let's move on.
Oh.
Sam is still obsessed with Jack Frost, even though he's been dead and buried for a year. This therapist sucks because he has the call just going through like the speakerphone as the receptionist is listening in and laughing at Sam's session. The receptionist is played by Danny Lynn Cooney, the wife at the time of the director, Michael. They, I believe, have since got a divorce, but they were married at the time. We also cut back to her a few times as she's joined by an electrician, a construction worker, and like a cook or milk lady. I'm not sure exactly what the 4th character is.
Just various workmen gathering around to laugh at Sam.
They kind of look like they're dressed like an old-fashioned like milkman, but they're holding a lobster. So I don't know what their character is supposed to be. And also, their character is in half a scene laughing at Sam, so it doesn't really matter. I don't have any information on who those 3 people are, because they're not in the credits.
What?
I know. To be fair, the receptionist is probably only in the credits because she's married to the director.
Nepotism at its finest.
Yeah, pretty much. And they all end up laughing at Sam's story of last year. The scene goes on for a while. It's mildly amusing at times, but it probably drags a little more than it needs to.
Stays its welcome.
Yeah. The scene ends with even the therapist laughing at him for how the last movie ended with the whole antifreeze and whatnot. It's too much for the therapist to take. A therapist who's heard this story probably, tons of times throughout this last year, still
as it's implied,
can't stop laughing at the absurdity of what is that last movie.
Yeah, so much so that he does, before the session starts, beg him to not talk about the Snowman incident again.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to put it on blast for everyone in the reception area anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to make up your mind. Either you need to encourage him so that all your friends can laugh at him, or you can't be,
He's done with it. But if he has to hear this crap again, he also wants the milkman, the construction worker, and the electrician to hear it for their first time. But yeah, we transition from that into our word art title card. I mean, I could probably make a better thing on word art than the title card they use in this movie. It is bottom of the barrel.
It is indeed word art. Yeah.
But a lot of the behind the scenes stuff in this movie do feel like they probably are bottom of the barrel, but they do use them for the most part to the best of their ability. I don't know if this I don't know if I'd say that about the title card, but it's here.
Title card is there.
Yeah, it is here, and it was 2000, so maybe they had less fonts available on their computer. Fair enough. During our credits, we see 2 grave robbers unbury the antifreeze. One of them, presumably someone connected to the scientists we're about to see, ends up killing the local grave robber that they're robbing this grave with for the antifreeze. This is all happening while the credits are still happening, and we head to some scientists who are doing a bunch of failed research on the antifreeze.
And making a cup of coffee.
There is also, making a cup of coffee.
Interspersed in the montage of chemistry.
Yeah. And a bunch of failed check marks on failed for whatever experiment they were doing.
Failed next to rating, which...
You either fail...
Or you're rating.
Yeah.
I don't know what rate you're getting, but you're rating. somewhere.
Well, if it's above a failure, we write what number it is. But they never had one, so it's fine. We don't even know that. The antifreeze is in a fish tank, and that
very scientific.
Yeah, that mug of coffee was placed on top of it. Then after the credits,
tip-top operation here.
Yeah. After the credits end, in comes the idiot to vacuum. And if you are Isaiah or someone who didn't listen to our last episode, I'm not just calling this character an idiot. That is literally their name in the credits. They are the idiot. They were in the last movie in some of the behind backgrounds of shots. So they're back. They're still played by the returning Brett Boydston. And the idiot ends up bumping into the tank, knocking the coffee in, which,
Dude, I love how long this scene takes. It's like Jerry Lewis or something. Because he bumps in, and we watch it, teeter and totter as he, bumps into it again twice. It's just, hilarious unspoken physical comedy. Yeah. I love it.
Which, I will say, this movie is so much funnier than the last movie. Did you end up watching the first one, Isaiah?
Oh, no.
Okay,
no.
Cool. That's fair.
And it turns out that I didn't need to.
That's true. They do.
Well, Austin, if you want behind the scenes, Austin gravely undersold this movie to me. And
to be fair,
I thought, who cares, And so I watch it, and right off the bat, we were treated to this summary of the last one, and they keep doing it all throughout the movie, I guess, as we're going to hear about. But so I was like, you remember last year when these events happened? Noted. I remember that.
Last year, there was a killer snowman.
I want to also say that I undersold this because it had a much lower rating on IMDb, and I was like, if the last one wasn't great, and this one's rated lower, there's no way it could be at all watchable. But we were going to watch it anyway, and I'm not going to say my thoughts, even though I just basically did, but maybe it was definitely watchable and pretty enjoyable. But just maybe. You have to wait till the end to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, so he knocks the coffee in, which causes the antifreeze to turn to snow. And the tank explodes, sending a shard of glass into the idiot's face, killing him. Yeah. Goodbye, idiot. The snow melts and talks about getting revenge, confirming that Jack Frost is back, and it heads down a drain.
Yeah.
Frost is voiced by the returning Scott McDonald. Also, I will say, I haven't said a couple of times there's been returning people. I'm just not mentioning the other things they've done. And if you want to know the other things these actors have done, head on over to our last episode. Well, it feels redundant to talk about each actor and what they've done before.
I agree.
Unless they're new. If they're new, I'll tell you. We head to Snowman International Airport, which is hilariously just the outside of a building. It's tiny. This is not an international airport, and
it's like somebody's front door.
Yeah, because this movie is shot on a nothing budget, and they're
Snowman is a very small town. So
yes,
they need a large
which means
airport.
They wouldn't have an international airport.
International, yeah.
They would barely have an airport if they, but they have an international airport. And Sam at the airport. Sam is getting cold feet about the trip he's about to take with his wife Anne, who is played by the returning Eileen Seeley. He keeps trying to find excuses, but she keeps dismissing them. Marla and Deputy Joe Foster show up for the trip that's for their wedding. I brought up his full name there because in the last movie I referred to him as just Deputy Foster because that was his credit title, but they did call him Joe a couple times in that movie, and this movie going forward he will be just known as Joe, but just felt the need to, he is a returning character from the last movie, which is honestly kind of cool.
And now they got married, just like they were hinting at in the last movie.
They haven't got married yet. We are going on the show
they're going to get
married.
Yeah.
Marla is played by the returning Marcia Clark, and Joe is played by the returning Chip Heller. As Sam walks away, he steps in a puddle. Could that be a melted Jack Frost? I mean, maybe it's implied it could be, but we don't know.
Might be, probably not.
Yeah.
But who knows?
We had to 2 establishing shots of the island to show us that it is an island before we transition into our set. And it's our actual set that is definitely not on an island. But we do have 2. Hey, excuse me. We do have 2 just like random stock shots of like islands to show that this movie takes place on an island, guys. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. A lot of palm trees.
Yeah. We meet the colonialist, that is the hotel owner, Colonel Hickering. Like, he's straight up like...
Colonel!
Yeah.
Like Rudyard Kipling, dude. Yeah.
My favorite part of the movie. Colonel.
Back in India! You get the pith hat?
Yeah.
And everything, dude, yeah.
And we also, in this scene, meet bartender / general hotel worker. He does a lot more than just be the bartender, but I think that might be his official job. And that character's name is Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby, the right-hand man of the Colonel, and also the bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colonel Hickering is played by Roy Cooney, father of Michael, and an actor and playwright in his own right.
Hey.
Yeah. I believe he's actually like I don't know a lot about like playwrights, but I think he was decent, and like he was like a pretty I don't know how well, but he was a stage actor in like London, and like I think that's part of like the story of like why Michael Cooney wasn't a good actor and like was supposed to be following in his father's footsteps, and that's why we ended up doing these 2 movies, was once he gave up on that dream and decided to make a movie instead.
That's hilarious.
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, Michael Cooney's like performance in this movie
Roy Cooney.
Pretty solid.
Roy Cooney.
Or
Yeah,
Roy.
I would not have expected, like after you introduced his wife as this bit part as the receptionist, that was surprising to me, because the Colonel is like a show stealer.
Well, he is, like a classically trained like actor, so like I'm not that surprised that he was able to be decent in this very super campy role that they gave him.
Dude, yeah.
I did enjoy his super campy role a whole lot.
I don't disagree. Bobby is played by Ty Bennett, whose like horror relevancy is that he was in the movie John Dies at the End. That is the name of the movie. Yeah, that's the name of the movie. I'm not spoiling it. I mean, I might be, but it's also just the name of the movie. So don't get at me, get at them.
Spoilers. The title is true.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Colonel and Bobby discuss the new group of guests that arrive. It's time for Austin to talk about just a lot of random actors who are in a movie now, because that's how this scene is introduced. We just meet people.
Just people offloading on a thing, and then the Colonel and Bobby comment on it.
Yep. First, we have young hot girls Rosie, Paisley, and Ashley. Or not Rosie. Sorry, Rose, Paisley, and Ashley.
Is that what the credits are for? Young hot girls?
No, I was just trying to give a brief description of their characters, because I'm not going to go over the dialogue that happened in the scene. They're the young hot girls. That's why they're here. That's their character trope. Like,
dialogue.
Rose is played by Jennifer Lyons, who's done a lot of TV work and was in the movie Return of the Killer Shrews. I just wanted to bring that up because that movie sounds like such a crazy title.
Killer Shrews. Well, I'm glad that she found work in other B movies outside of TV.
Yeah. She also done a lot of TV work, nothing that like was super notable, but hey, she has a career, good for her. We also have Paisley. Paisley, who is played by Granger Green, who didn't really do anything that I'm going to bring up because I just didn't recognize any of the stuff she did.
Okay.
Just the truth. And Ashley, who is played by Shonda, right? Yeah, Shonda Farr of... Wait for it. That's right. Season 5, Episode 15, I Was Made to Love You of Buffy, where she plays April, a robot made to love Warren until he gets bored with her. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, he's like the bad guy of that episode. Like, he's not we don't support. The only reason I mentioned the character Warren is the character actually does come back in like a later season. But yeah, the point of the episode is like there's this robot around. And that's played by this girl, Shonda. We also meet flamboyant photographer Greg and calendar models Sarah and Cindy. Greg is played by Paul Kim Jr. Sarah is played by Melanie Good. And Sydney is played by Stephanie Cho. And none of them did anything of note.
What?
Yeah, sorry. I do believe, if I remember right, Sarah's actress did play a stripper a few times. So
that tracks.
Yeah. The Colonel goes over to introduce himself to the last of the people who are showing up, and that's the Snowman crew, the 4 people we mentioned earlier. We don't need to mention them again. We head out to a life raft in the middle of the ocean where we meet Charlie and Dave. Charlie is played by Stefan Merchant, not Stephen Merchant, which even though his name feels very similar, different person. Who was in Hellborn alongside Horror Boy alum Tom Tiny Lister Jr. of Santa's Sleigh. And Dave is played by Doug Jones, who has been in so much stuff, normally in heavy makeup, like all of his roles in the Guillermo del Toro movies he's been in. Like, in Pan's Labyrinth, he's the guy with like the eyeballs on his hands. He's the fish in the fish movie, The Shape of Water. He's also the fish-like guy in Hellboy. Like, he has so much work, like a lot in Guillermo del Toro's work, but also just a lot of like makeup work because he's kind of a tall, weird-looking, lanky guy, so he can play a lot of weird-looking characters.
Who is he in this movie?
He is Dave, one of the 2 people on the raft who are about to die.
Is he the one who eats the chocolate bar or claims the carrot?
He's the one who ends up who wants the carrot.
Okay.
I see.
Interesting.
He was also, some other roles he's done, he was also the Bye-Bye Man.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a truly awful horror movie.
Yeah, and he was also in John Dies at the End with Ty Bennett.
Oh.
Dave is complaining to Charlie about getting them in this situation. They get into a fight over a carrot. That's their only food left, thanks to Charlie eating the chocolate bar. This scene goes on for way longer than it should. It's a little grating.
Yeah. Especially with the quality of acting that we're getting out of this scene.
Dave wins by throwing Charlie overboard, into the water where Jack drowns him off screen. Then Frost.
On to go.
Yeah. I'll mention a very few of his quips. Half of them aren't quips, really. He just says things. Jack Frost is one of the worst when it comes to like funny killers. Like, he's so not funny 99% of the time. This movie has some genuinely good comedy. None of it is Jack Frost.
That is true. I will admit that. Yeah.
So yeah, then he kills Charlie, or which one is it? No, kills Dave. Sorry, my bad. Kills Dave by impaling him through the raft. Yeah, with an icicle. Frost takes the carrot and heads to the island, where he washes up and talks as just a carrot on the beach, because that's his powers now. He can also just be the carrot now.
Yep. Just a wet carrot.
Literally wet carrot on the beach.
This is one thing I will say. As someone who watched the first movie, his powers have changed drastically. Like, he has them now. He really didn't have any powers in the last movie, except for becoming water and becoming Snowman. Now he has every power you could think of that he needs.
Well, to be fair,
he has
pretty comprehensively explained that by pointing out that he has now absorbed DNA from
sure.
hero.
You haven't got to that part yet. Whoa, that's a
who
big
also can
spoiler.
Take the form of a wet carrot.
And also, he got melted in antifreeze, so now his
and then the scientists
molecular structure is
the scientists did
forever.
experiments on him, so who knows what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, they all failed.
And also, he has coffee in his DNA.
It's also true. The coffee is what changes it all.
He never sleeps. Yeah.
Always alert.
Energetic.
The hotel is having a party. Rose, Ashley, and Paisley saddle up to the bar and look around for boys. They're not really finding any luck until Bobby points them towards Dean and Ben.
Two dumb hot guys.
Yeah. Dean is played by Brian Gross, who's been in a lot of crappy-looking horror movies, including 2001 Maniacs, alongside Horror Boy alums Lynn Shay, Robert Englund, and Kane Hodder. Boy, does this movie have a stacked cast, but boy, does it also look terrible.
Wait, what movie?
2001 Maniacs.
Huh.
Never
heard of it.
He's also in Season 1, Episode 6, The Pack of Buffy, where he plays one of the bullies whose mind is turned into a hyena.
You're not selling me on Buffy.
It's a great show. It's a fun show. And it's really
the episode where a lady is...
What? I mean, it's just, there's a robot girl.
Yeah.
I mean...
But they already did that in a whole movie, though.
I mean, they did a whole... I don't know. It's fine. I'm not trying to sell you on the show specifically. It's a great show. But a lot of these actors who are in these things aren't the stars of the show. They're the characters from one-off throwaway episodes.
Oh, no. It seems like they might be the stars of the show.
Speaking of people who were in Buffy, Ben is played by Jason Hall, who was a recurring character on Buffy from seasons 2 through 4, where he was Devin, the lead singer of Oz's band. That means something if you're a Buffy fan. It means nothing to you guys. He's just a guy he's a reoccurring character who's in a band with a main character, Oz. Yeah. For some reason, Sarah, the model, hits on Joe.
Yeah.
It's really never explained, but it will happen again.
Yep. Good old Deputy Joe.
Yep. Derpy looking.
Back to the Joe. Who isn't?
Middle-aged, balding, white man.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't call Sarah like the hottest girl ever, but she's definitely out of Joe's league, and I don't understand why she's hitting on him.
Low self-esteem.
Apparently.
D rank. She's somewhere in like a high C, low B rank.
Yeah. If we were to rank humans, which I won't do.
Yeah.
Which I won't do.
If we were to say there's a tier list, which there isn't, gotta clarify.
But if we were to do that, Sam would be an S tier. Sam would be an S tier, right, guys? Right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
New Manners, also high A. So, I mean, New Manners, we're talking about New Manners. We'll move on. Sorry, I was a spoiler.
Yeah, New Manners.
Who's New Manners?
Sorry.
Manners
He just got facial reconstruction.
Manners looked like he died in the last movie, actually. His face, like, got bit off. So, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Sam is sitting alone, being a party pooper duper, when Captain Fun tries to lighten the mood. Yeah. That facial reaction from Chris is about accurate for Captain Fun.
And intended.
Yeah. Captain Fun is played by Sean Patrick Murphy of Fern Gully. I mean Avatar. He's an Avatar.
They are the same movie.
They are the same exact movie. But hey, go on out to the theaters right now to watch something of water. The Shape of Water. Go watch Shape of Water starring Dave of this movie.
Let's say Avatar 2.
No. Go see The Shape of Water.
Cameron's The Shape of Water.
Yeah. That's the one where the girl like sleeps with a fish. So that's cool. So moving on.
Yeah.
Back to this movie. So yeah, Captain Fun's in Avatar. Good for him. Captain Fun decides to start karaoke to cheer up Sam. Quick shot of Carrot Jack complaining. Back to the Snowman crew singing Jingle Bells.
Into their beer bottles, mostly.
Yeah.
But also into a microphone.
Yeah. Later in the night, Sarah flirts with Joe again.
Yeah.
Joe and Sam drunkenly talk about how Sam can talk about mutant killer snowmans now. He's over it, man. It's ancient history.
Ancient history.
Fine.
Yeah.
When he's drunk,
he's not worried about this, guys. So we're fine.
Yeah.
We head to the beach where Rose, Ashley, and Paisley are waiting for the boys to show up as they discuss and argue with who gets to date who. While Carrot Jack watches on. Before Ashley goes off to get charcoal for the fire, because that's what you put in your fire, typically, charcoal. I mean, it would work.
But in this case, charcoal.
It would work, but it's not typical.
Well, unless you're using a grill. Yeah.
Which they weren't.
They are not.
This was
they
just
are just
the fire.
sitting around a pit.
Yeah. She goes out to find the charcoal. And she finds a perfect line of it, like just on the ground, that does not
Hansel and Gretel style
alert her at all to something that might be up here.
Oh, she's dumb.
Yeah, that is true. That is kind of their characters. They are the hot dumb girls. Jack Frost tries to drop... Sorry?
Just writes itself.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, she's an idiot. And she also played a robot in Buffy. So, but that was actually after this, so... So yeah, Jack Frost tries to drop icicles on her, but keeps missing, so he turns into a giant snow anvil and squishes her.
Yeah, with one of his brand new astounding powers.
He's like the Sandman.
Snow anvil.
To be fair, I'm okay with that one.
Altering the form of his snow?
That he's just changing who he is. There are other powers he has of, creating a whole, shift in the environment that I would argue are no way established before. Changing his shape, I'm okay with that.
Well, changing his shape and density.
I mean, maybe. Or just he always weighed that much and dropping him on you would hurt you and smush you. We don't know. He never dropped himself on anyone in the first movie.
That is true. That had not happened in the first movie.
But I will say, this kill is super over the top and silly, but it is fun. I enjoyed it, seeing all the over-the-top gore under him.
Very much like an Acme cartoon.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
flattened with little bits of arms and legs splayed out.
It's stupid, but it's stupid fun. We head back to the girls, who hear the crash, and Paisley goes off to look for Ashley. She finds her body as a bunch of icicle spikes kind of deal coming out of the ground pop up behind her, and she takes a step back onto one of them, and then falls back and impales herself.
R.I.P.
Yep, she's dead now.
Yep.
Back to Rose,
Time
who
to kill the third one.
Third girl, who starts worrying about her friends and grabs tongs for protection, and gets teased by Frost for that.
Yeah.
Until he takes the tongs and stabs her in the eyes. And another stupid, silly kill. Honestly, that is one thing I'll say of this movie, is that a lot of them are stupid, but they're kind of fun. Which, is more than you can say about a lot of the stuff that happened in the last movie.
They are fun stupid, and not just stupid.
Yeah.
At points, annoyingly.
Yeah.
Frustratingly stupid.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah. We head to Sam and Anne's room in the morning, where they're waked up by Captain Fun jumping into their bed.
Yeah.
That's
maybe
the scene.
An invasion of privacy.
Yep.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's the scene. That's it. That's the bit. The bit is he woke him up. Ha ha, funny. Over in Marla and Joe's room, we see they're in separate beds, and Marla won't even let Joe come over to hug her, because that'll ruin their wedding somehow.
Yeah.
Which I guess this is supposed to, in your mind, make you go, oh, maybe Joe will cheat on Marla, but it never comes up again, that part of the story, so, I don't understand any of it.
Oh.
It feels like a plot, like an idea that Michael Cooney was starting to write into the script that he completely forgot about, but those first pieces were still in the script, and they still shot him anyway.
This will make a fascinating side plot.
Yeah, this will be the Joe side plot that he completely forgets to finish in any way.
We want to edit those? No, leave them in. It's fine.
Yeah, someone, whoever's, his DP's why are we shooting this scene? There's no, payoff later. And he's like, I mean, we have to fill the hour and a half. We're keeping the scenes.
Yeah, well, it brings us up from an hour and 20 to an hour and a half.
Well, if you wanted to, squint and be really generous to it, it would still need work, but the joke might be, it's kind of funny to think that there's the temptation to adulterate, and then the woman gets eaten alive by little snowballs, and so that just kind of goes away. So he never gets the chance to,
but he doesn't even see her, and there's never even a point where it seems like he's actually even thinking about. Once again, it's terribly written.
It is That it is.
And I'm not even saying that about the movie. I'm saying about that specific subplot that isn't even a subplot. This is the last time it even comes up in any way whatsoever.
Well, they do make a joke about, oh, why can't we normally sleep in the same bed when we're at home. And she goes, well, we're not at home.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a joke.
I guess.
I think it's a joke.
I want to make sure it's clear, just because we are going to crap on the bad stuff. But I will say, if you're just watching this and haven't watched the movie, give it a try, because there is some fun that you might have. Spoiler for the end, but don't get to this point where you're like, these guys are kind of really crapping on the movie. I should just skip this. Don't watch it. You might enjoy it. Because a lot of these things are things we like to nitpick because that's the show. But in the actual grand scheme of the movie, they're over already, and they've moved on.
Yeah. Sure.
We head to the Colonel, telling Bobby the things the breakfast buffet needs fixed, before mentioning his time in India for the first time. Which is a kind of a running joke that I don't bring up most of the other times it happens. It is a mildly amusing joke that I do enjoy, but a lot of times it is just him kind of saying random crap that I'm not going to write down every time he brings up, well, in India, this happens. All right, okay. Colonel, that's kind of mildly amusing, but that is not actually important to the plot, so I will move on, Colonel.
I do like the little visual bits of Bobby actually, listening to the Colonel, and, as soon as he says, oh, let's need some more paprika, he just starts, chucking seasoning onto it. Yeah. And it's this needs some orange in it. And he just places a whole orange right on top of it.
And then starts salting the fruit and the granola.
Yeah.
Yes. Good on you, Bobby.
Or bran flakes. I think it's bran flakes. Whatever. But he salts everything.
Yeah. Pretty good.
I agree. But they end up stopping what they're doing because they hear some screaming from a girl, so they go to investigate. Excuse me. There they find Ashley's body and a couple that found the body. The couple, I believe, this is me having to piece stuff together from later times we see them and names in the credits. I believe the couple is played by Jack Doherty and Vanessa Marshall, who's done a lot of voice acting, including multiple times she's played Gamora in animated things and Wonder Woman. Homegirl is getting high-profile voice acting work, so good for her.
And now she's got a character that says nothing.
Not a word. In this movie, she does not say a word.
But
this movie was 22 years ago, and in those 22 years, she has now had a successful career where she has played Gamora and Wonder Woman multiple times in DC and Marvel, or Marvel and DC properties, respectively.
Nice.
Yeah. The Colonel offers them free room service to keep quiet, and they accept and run away.
Dude, the sinisterness of the Colonel just never gets highlighted at all.
No.
The Colonel on paper is just evil.
He is, and just
he
is.
Just bubbles. I love I love him.
Yeah, no, he is evil though.
Yeah,
he is evil though.
Well, it seems I don't even know if they were trying to reference it or make us think of it on purpose, but you have to think of the mayor from Jaws. It's we've got to keep this town open for the tourists. Dang it, who cares how many people the sharks eat? Yeah. And the Colonel does the exact same thing, but it's I hated that guy from Jaws. I love the Colonel.
Yeah.
Well, because
the Colonel has a much more chipper disposition.
Yeah, the mayor from Jaws is not a silly safari man with a British accent.
Not the guy from Tarzan.
Yeah. It's not Jane's dad.
Mixed with Jane's dad mixed with a hint of Nigel Thornberry. He is a goofball, and we love him, but also are scared of him.
It's just a shark attack.
Yeah. Lost my place. The Colonel.
And in comes Sam.
Yeah. Well, Colonel. No, not yet. First, the Colonel tells Bobby to go get the head of Island Security, Manners, but before they can leave, Manners shows up with his eye patch and new face, and the first time of the music sting, which, sure, maybe it gets too much later, but this first time it's funny, because he shows up, and then I think Bobby goes oh, that's the scary guy, and he shows up, the scary guy is here, and it's just so over the top stupid that I love it,
dude. Yeah.
Manners is really silly. I do enjoy Manners, but the musical accompaniment I do not enjoy.
That's fair. I could see why it could get too much. I personally never got to that point, but I respect that. Manners is now played by David Allen Brooks of Scream for Help and The Kindred. Those are some horror movies he's been in. Manners tells them about the other MVs, but the Colonel says it was a shark attack. I liked the inclusion of like the MVs line, and they don't understand what he means. He's like, "Oh, murder victims," which is something that Isaiah played.
Something he also did in the last.
Is a callback to the last movie where he called things MVs. Like, it's a small detail that, as someone who watched the movie last week, it was a nice inclusion. Be like, he said the thing. He said the thing. Yeah, I'm easily amused, guys. They're then joined by Sam, who had heard the screaming, but they tell him the body is just a result of the murderous coconut shark attack, which is them covering up from when he asked them what happened, and Manners says murderer. The Colonel says a shark
Bobby
attack,
says
and
coconut,
Bobby says coconut, and they say it all at the same time, and then Manners covers up like another attack of the murderous coconut shark. It's just, once again, it shouldn't work. I should be mad at how stupid these lines are, but it's just delivered in such a way that I couldn't help but like smiling at murderous coconut shark. I'm like, what are you doing, movie?
Dude,
yeah.
And all these all these moments it points to itself, like in the psychiatry office. Like, for all these, just the utter stupidity, we've got another character in the movie like laughing at it, or kind of bewildered.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I mean, it works really well, I think. Spoiling our ending.
Yeah. The Colonel introduces Sam to Manners, who Sam asks if he's Agent Manners from the last movie, and Manners tells him, "No, Sheriff," basically. Which Sam didn't bring up being his job, which revealed that Manners was Agent Manners from the last movie. And Manners tells him he came here to get away from Snowman.
You have to get 12 facial reconstruction surgeries to get to look like this.
Yeah, to explain away the fact that they got a new actor.
Yeah. Which is pretty funny.
It's a good. Yeah, I like that. Manners wants to alert the guests, but the Colonel will have none of it, and wants Bobby to call the authorities, but he can't because the satellite is down. Oh no. As they leave, Frost, who's now in a snow globe, taunts the audience. Because that's also a power he has now.
Yeah, to turn into an evil little snowman inside a snow globe.
Yes.
Yeah.
To taunt just us, not because they don't hear it.
Right.
He's just talking to the audience at this point. Bobby and the Colonel check the satellite and see its electric box is filled of water. Oh my gosh, are you telling me Jack Frost did all this?
Nah, they have land sharks, I think.
Oh yeah, the murderous coconut sharks, you're right. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Bobby, Colonel, and Manners meet with the other staff, including Captain Fun, to inform them about what's going on. Captain Fun says that Manners can't ruin the guest's trip, basically, is like his thing. Like, we can't do that, we gotta, keep it on the down low, basically.
Yeah, don't want to kill the vibe.
Yeah. While they have their meeting, the guests steal from the unmanned bar. They cut away to it. It's not important, but I'll bring it up because the movie thought it was important enough to bring it up.
They do get, shwasted at the bar.
Specifically, like Sam, a character who doesn't really feel like he would be doing this, is just getting totally drunk, like while like everyone's cheering him on. Like, it does not seem like the character we see from him.
Oh.
Yeah. We head to Greg taking photos of Sarah in a bikini. Frost looks on like a perv before turning himself into ice that Sarah uses under her top for prepping for the pictures, I think would be the way to say that appropriately for YouTube's algorithm to not get mad at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gross. Ew, now that's him. But I will say, hey, in this movie, he doesn't completely force himself on a girl. He just, harasses her. So I guess they went a step above the last movie. It's not quite as terrible.
It isn't as terrible.
Not quite. Still terrible.
Yeah.
And still played for laughs where I'm not laughing and I'm just like, this scene is going on too long.
Yeah. And then he inhabits another piece of ice.
Yeah, well, he eats all of the ice now, apparently.
He has mini ice cubes.
Yeah, and then the rest of the ice, not the rest, but some of the other ice is put into a cup of iced coffee that she drinks. And there's more, just way too long of him being happy that he's inside her mouth before they proceed to start taking pictures. Yeah, and that makes the piece that was thrown away from inside the bikini really mad, so he explodes her head.
Yeah, from the inside out.
Which, hey, it's stupid. That part, here's the thing, I have no problem with that kill. It's stupid and makes no sense with the character we know from the last movie, but fine, this movie, he has every power he can have that's needed for the sake of stupid kills. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I just wish I didn't have to go through, 4 or 5 minutes of, perv Jack Frost again.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally fair.
He then fully shows up as Snowman Jack. We don't see him yet. We don't see him for a while actually as full Snowman Frost in this movie.
Right.
But
we see him in pictures with.
Oh, sorry. Before that, I forgot. There's this amazing quip he says after he blows up her head. I guess it was decapitated coffee instead of decaffeinated coffee. God, do you get that? It's actually high art.
Certainly something.
Yeah, he then kills Greg off screen as we see pictures of how he killed him, which I thought was kind of a clever way to not have to do a super elaborate death scene, but also make it fit the character. I respected it. It's not my favorite kill ever in a movie by any means, but I respected its creativity.
A clever way to do a low budget kill.
Yeah, it was a very creative way that really fit the character too. So I was doubly on board with it. I think officially would have killed him by stabbing him in the eye with his carrot. I think. Or choking him, and then the last picture we see is him with a carrot in his eye socket.
Yeah.
We head to the Snowman crew at archery, where Sam tells Anne he heard something, and he feels something cold. Marla overhears this and tells him to move on about Jack Frost. That's basically the scene.
Yeah.
I will say, that's one thing that I get it. It's a movie and it's got to have your little cliche things. But I feel like everyone else who went through this crap are kind of jerks to this man who, it was literally a year ago. I mean, when the movie came out, it was 3 years later. But the characters, this was 1 year after all of them went through this tragic event, and even them, they're not at all sympathetic for him. They're like, dude, we had a bad Christmas last year. Move on.
Yeah.
They're definitely underplaying the
so many people in their town died, and they don't care at all. And Jack Frost is dead. Jack Frost was a mutant killer snowman last time. You think you definitely killed him? You think you know the rules of mutant killer snowmen?
Pretty bold of them to assume.
Manners shows up and tells him to meet him in reception in 10 minutes to talk. Sam asks why, if it's important, they can't just talk here, and Manners responds,
he has to pee,
which I thought was. Here's the thing, I hate pee jokes in general, but the way this one was delivered, it got. I think it's also just Sam's responses to a lot of the scenes he's in. He's like, oh, okay, he just completely that made sense to him. Oh yeah, no, okay, fair.
All right.
Yeah, you had to pee. At reception, Manners tells Sam he was fired after last year, and tells him there's more going on than a shark attack. Manners brings in Captain Fun and tells Sam he's on their side, and says his dissension in the meeting was just a ruse, to which Sam replies, well, I wasn't there, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Which was probably the best line in the movie. That is such a good joke.
Because I remember sitting there and Manners is explaining that, and I was like, Sam wasn't there to see that. And then Sam's like, I wasn't there to see that, so I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like,
and then they kind of go from that to like just them be like, oh well, it was really good, really good. You should have been there, kind of thing. And then they want Sam on their side. So we head to Captain Fun's plan, which is a costume party to get the killer a false sense of security to lure him out into the open.
which Sam also points out that it's just his idea for everything.
Yeah, Sam is dressed as a hippie, and Captain Fun is a skier, I think.
Yeah, a skier with a completely orange face.
Yeah,
I
don't get it.
No,
and then also like
a sunburned snowboarder.
I don't know what it's supposed to be. I did kind of like, here's the thing, as like if I were to ever want to be a skier for Halloween or a costume party, I did like his whole like scarf that was always going like back up in the air, like if he was going downhill. Yeah. I thought that was kind of a cool concept for a skiing costume.
Yeah, put a lot of nice starch in there.
After the line you mentioned about how him saying this was all of his ideas, Captain Fun offers him some banana shrimp, which Sam declines because he has a banana allergy. Fair reason to decline some shrimp. Yeah. Manners is dressed like a private investigator, which Sam thinks is a little on the nose.
But Manners explains that in the Bureau, that's what they would call a reverse double negative.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a known tactic.
Oh, I love Manners and Sam. Manners and Sam were the best part of this movie for sure. Like their interactions, their scenes together.
Manners, Sam, and the Colonel.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The Colonel is also good. I agree.
God bless.
Sam hears Frost's voice and runs after. He also sees like a white blur in the crowd and he runs after it. Manners looks on and tells his watch, Sam's got a runner. And Captain Fun pops up behind him and asks, why'd you do that? And Manners says, old habit. Which, once again, just great. Manners is such a great character.
Dude,
like,
yeah.
Love Manners. I don't know why. Because like it's just like the old, he's an old secret agent, so he's used to doing a secret. I love it. I'm over explaining. It's just good.
It is.
Sam arms himself with an oar and finds a carrot on the ground. A snowman comes behind him and Sam knocks him out, but it turns out it's the Colonel in a suit.
Yeah, whoopsies.
Yeah. In the kitchen, the Colonel reprimands Sam, Manners, and Captain Fun for their plan that got him hurt and is alarming people. Sam realizes that the suit still has a nose, so the carrot wasn't his.
Yeah, and there is only one carrot in the world, and it belongs to Jack Frost.
Well,
yeah.
To be fair, it is a little weird for a random full carrot to just be sitting in the middle of like the ground in a place that like it is a little bit of a weird occurrence. Like this doesn't
seem like a native fruit. I get it. I mean,
yeah, this is a tropical.
Also, a little weird to have a carrot as a full uncut carrot as a snack in your lunchbox, but
yeah, it's fair. Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm not going to deny that. Who cares? That was just an excuse to get him to have his carrot. But the point is, I think Sam is justified for going, oh, a carrot? Why would there be a carrot randomly on the ground after I was following the voice of Jack Frost?
And that is fair.
But Anne tells him to drop it.
Plenty of fuel for his paranoia.
Yeah. Anne tells him to drop it as we cut to a shot of Frost picking up the carrot. In the room, Sam tells Anne he heard Frost's voice, and she says no, he didn't because Jack Frost is dead. And
he's tearing our marriage apart.
She doesn't know how much more she can handle of this. His obsession is too much. Yeah, apparently they're about to get divorced because of this. Very sad. Because for some reason she's moved on from all the people they knew who died a year ago, while he hasn't. And how dare he? He's a buzzkill. He's ruining their marriage. Multiple of their close, 2 full families of people they knew are dead. But how dare he? Still care.
Yeah. Chill out, dude. Yeah.
We head to the pool where Cindy goes skinny dipping alone, as you do. Yeah, in a horror movie, and only in a horror movie, and never else in any point in life. Skinny dipping. Real thing, I assume. I've never known anyone who did it, but I assume it probably is real. But the point of skinny
I do
dipping...
know people who have done it, but
Yeah.
not at a public pool.
But also, like, the point of it is...
Alone.
To do it with someone else, because the whole point of skinny dipping is like you're a teenager who wants to see your, the girl you like naked or whatever. Like that's the point of it, not to just be a hot girl who's doing it alone because the movie wants to see your boobs, which we do for a while.
True. And
There-
a little bit of butt through the water.
Yeah, she's under the water for a long time when Frost shows up. And freezes the top of the water, trapping her under, causing her to drown.
Tragic.
Which is, like, honestly, like, a super scary way to die, if you think about it. Like, just be, like, trapped and have to suffocate. That's crazy. He then freezes some beers. And then a random sleeping lady. Before using his ultimate Christmas present to cause it to snow. That's a
timely reference.
That's a timely reference from me and Chris as we reference a decom we just watched for a different show we do.
Called the ultimate Christmas present, where apparently the ultimate Christmas present is snow if you live in California.
Weather Machine. Movie sucks. Don't watch it if you haven't seen it in a long time. It does not hold up in any way. There are some decoms that do. That is not one of them. But yeah, he apparently Frost has that ultimate Christmas present power though, where he can just make snow fall from the sky now. He can completely change the whole
the atmospheric makeup.
It's crazy. Crazy level of power he now has. Later in the night, Sam gets up to get Anne a glass of water and notices the snow. He wakes up Anne before Captain Fun comes in and throws snowballs at them. Woo! Captain Fun, he sucks.
Yeah.
They go outside and see everyone's having fun in the snow. Marla tries to give Sam crap for thinking Frost is involved, but, he points out that the insane temperature drop, which, Joe says, it happened in Montana in 1924. Actually,
it's Montana.
Yeah, Sam's like, that was Montana, and we're in the tropics. And Joe's like, yeah, okay.
Potato.
Yeah. The four of them go back inside. Marla and Joe are reluctant, but they, I guess, decide, I guess he might be right. Even though Marla will multiple times still get onto his case for what is obviously Jack Frost. Because Marla's the worst.
Marla at this point is just actively being an idiot.
Yeah, remember in the last movie where Marla was kind of like the fun, like, angsty character? Like, she wasn't perfect. Like, she was definitely not an idiot. She was kind of like the smart, strong-willed woman, and now she's an idiot.
The running joke that it couldn't be Jack Frost.
Yeah, the running idiot joke. Like, what is this character? I don't like it.
Fair.
We head to Ben, who convinces Dean to put his tongue on a frozen pole with a plan to cool down some warm beer by pouring it down the pole. Dean gets stuck, obviously, but Ben leaves to go talk to chicks. So Frost shows up and rips off Dean's tongue, saying, "Cowatonga, dude."
Yep. That is a line that is said in this movie. Yeah.
I will say, like a lot of things in this movie, it might be over the top, it might be a little cheesy, but I did kind of like the gore from the tongue pull. Like it was cool looking.
Fair.
Dude, I thought you would like. Yeah.
I
was
like,
watching these gore scenes.
I like some fun, silly gore, and this is definitely over the top gore, but like it's fun, it's silly. I wish it wasn't followed up with a Cowatonga, dude. Because
that did kind of ruin it for me. I'll be honest.
Frost
Cowatonga
says,
is just the cherry on top. I'm sorry.
Sure, yeah, totally cherry on top of a pile of crap. That's not true.
It would have been better if he had said Cowatonga and then a tiny Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle dropped from top middle of the screen down to the bottom and just was never brought
Never
up.
to be seen
Well,
again.
see, actually, the Ninja Turtle was on the screen a lot. It's on the far right of the screen, where for some reason there's a giant black bar for like multiple scenes. Just because there was some sort of like error when they were making the movie that was put in like.
I did not even notice that.
I also didn't notice it while watching it, but I watched a video where they pointed it out, and then I went back to see that scene. And was like, oh yeah, it's there. There is like a point where like
They fooled me, dude.
It's like probably like an eighth of like the screen. It just has like a random black bar on it sometimes.
That's the part where they're just playing scenes from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
That's where all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are hanging out.
Or get their own VHS tape of it.
Frost says, "This one's for you," and Sam can feel it. And Frost starts a slaughter. First, by knocking the arm off the man and the couple from earlier that found Ashley's body. And he knocks off his arm with a snowball. And then it just covers his girlfriend in an outrageous amount of blood. Obscene.
And, like gore?
Yeah, like chunky blood that's coming out of his arm.
Yeah.
And he gets to the point where he's, like, aiming it at her, you know? And she's like...
It's so stupid, but it's hilariously fun.
This is one of those things where it's like, oh, this is getting, like, out of hand, and it keeps on going, but it overstays its welcome and is also funny the entire time it overstays its welcome.
He also then
gets funnier as it gets more and more ridiculous.
He uses some snowballs and icicles to kill about another 5 or 6 people. None of their deaths were like something that were specific that he felt the need to bring up. They die. Some of them snowballs, some mostly icicles. But hey, most of them were decent enough gore, especially for such a small budget.
Icicle impalement with really cool effects of the icicles flying through the air.
Yeah, there's some issues there with the effects for sure. And here's the thing. I didn't bring up any of the icicles because I didn't really notice how bad them being that bad. There are some special effects. Don't you worry. I will bring up some of the CGI effects we will be having in the later part of this movie. There are at least 3 times that I will definitely bring up some bad CGI.
Yeah, the snowballs. That's right.
Oh, there's also a couple other times, but yes. But yeah. Marla, seeing the carnage, still thinks Frost isn't there because she is an idiot.
Mm-hmm. She is very dumb.
Yeah.
Yes.
After Sam sees Sam sees a snowman and takes his head off after pouring concentrated antifreeze on it. But, it wasn't Frost.
Dude, yes. And I love that this was never clued before this moment. Because we're wondering, like, we're on an island. We don't need any of this stuff. We don't need to, no snowman, no need for preparation. And it's like, aha.
Yeah.
I've got it. Turns out, I've had the antifreeze all along. I just love like the secret weapon. It was never hinted before. It's just here to be its own anticlimax.
Yeah. But Frost is now behind Sam. Pops up. But in comes Manners with his gun. So Frost disappears into the snow in somehow not the worst CGI we will see in this movie.
Yeah. Just
Manners and the Snowman crew go into the Tyler's room, which if I haven't mentioned in this movie, but that is Sam and Ann's last name. Just that's their room. I didn't want to say Sam and Ann's room, but instead I'm saying way more to explain it after I realized I didn't bring up the name Tyler before this point in the podcast.
Yes.
Inside, Sam says he must be linked to Frost in some way. What does that say?
And they talk about the antifreeze.
Then Sam empties his bag filled with caulking and some antifreeze.
Yeah.
And at first, Joe and Marla wanted to seal the room in, but Anne says no. We have to warn people. Which, to be fair, I don't know who they're warning. I feel like everyone either is already dead or saw everything go down, so they don't really need a warning. But they do also need to progress the story and save the day, because if not, this would be really bad in the end. But still, I don't know who they're warning. Warning is a weird word for what they should do.
Yeah.
So Manners and Sam head out to warn the others about, I guess, Jack Frost. There is a funny line where Sam says all right, Manners. He's like, it's Agent Manners now. It's like, okay, Manners.
Yeah.
And I think Sam even says something like, all right, if that makes you have something if that makes
whatever makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
I love Sam and Manners' interactions, man. They're so stupid, fun camp. Joe. Once they leave, Joe theorizes to Anne and Marla that Sam, when he bled into the antifreeze, that must have mixed their DNA, causing the link, Sam feels. Sam and Manners unite with Captain Fun, the Colonel, and Bobby in the kitchen. And Sam and Manners explain Frost to them, and they surprisingly take it very well, with no question at all, which really catches Sam off guard, because normally people start laughing at him at this point in him telling the story. And he also tells them about how antifreeze is the only way to kill Frost. Captain Fun says that that's going to be a problem because they're on an island. Where are they going to get antifreeze? But Bobby points out that the generator runs on coolant, which is the same
and isn't
thing.
Coolant just antifreeze?
Yeah.
And yes, it is. On facts.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah. Because antifreeze actually isn't just it's called antifreeze, but it also keeps things cold and wet. It keeps it perfectly in the middle temperature is what
it's a temperature regulator is what one might call it.
Yeah. It's not just antifreeze. It's anti way too hot, but that doesn't have as good of a ring.
Yeah, as antifreeze. Yeah.
Anti too hot. I guess you could call that coolant, if you will.
Yeah.
So they head off to find some drums of it that are in a shed. Yeah. And they set a trap for Frost by filling the fountain with coolant and covering it with some sheets and potato flakes. So Frost thinks that it's still filled with snow.
Yeah, which is probably what they used for snow in the first movie.
Oh, in the first movie? Yeah. This movie, actually, the snow looks pretty decent a lot of the times.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But it almost feels like the sheets and potato flakes might be a reference to the first movie.
It could be. That wouldn't fully surprise me. The Colonel brings up how one time in India he did something similar, but they had to have some bait, which was like some guy's dog, which once again showing that the Colonel is a horrible person who's just yeah, we killed a dog to save our butts. But with way too much. Because here's the thing, I'm sorry, but I think lives of a bunch of humans is or more important than a dog's life. I do think that, but it's the glee that he brings up, and we killed this dog. It's all right, Colonel, settle down.
It's like he's recounting a childhood prank or something. He's I remember this one time. We killed a dog.
The hunt.
Yeah. And Bobby says that he will not be the bait. And Sam says Frost wants him anyway, so he'll be the bait. And the plan works, and Frost falls in and starts to melt, and everyone celebrates. The end. We'll see you next week. Wait, nope, sorry. There are 30 more minutes of this movie. Yeah.
Classic Jack Frost.
Yeah. Frost pops out, and he mocks them, while Sam starts to kind of freak out and just kind of, for a while now, he's just going to be a blubbering idiot because his whole world is broken that the antifreeze doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything he knows about the world is now not true.
Yeah.
Antifreeze no longer kills Jack Frost.
It's supposed to. The antifreeze is supposed to work. It's supposed to kill. But yeah, so he's going to say that a bunch going forward. But this is when he starts kind of getting broken. Then Frost coughs up a snowball before leaving in a terrible CGI effect, somehow worse than the last time he left, but somehow still, actually, honestly, this is much quicker and therefore it feels less offensive, but this might actually be the worst CGI effect in the movie. The way this, water splashes up after he bounces into the snow, it's so bad looking. So terrible. It is so much quicker, so it doesn't feel as offensive as the other bit of CGI still coming, but I actually think it might be technically worse in its 1 second we see it.
Dude, I remember, I see your point, but I don't remember this scene, and I do remember the waffle iron.
That's fair. You know what? That is completely fair. Yeah. I nothing else to say. Joe picks up.
We'll get there shortly.
Yeah, Joe picks up the snowball with a pool skimmer. We head to Manners, out searching for Frost, where he finds a different snowball, and he steps on it and leaves. In the kitchen, everyone else is looking at the snowball Joe grabbed, and it hasn't melted for 15 minutes. Then the snowball hatches into this adorably cute little snowball puppet with these little arms.
It's a Muppet.
It's so cute. It's such a shame that half the time we see it, it's CGI. But it's not yet. And to be fair, it's not half the time we see the snowballs, because there are the snowballs are the the gremlins of this movie, which is such a insulting thing to say to gremlins. But for the sake of the role they're playing, they're the gremlins, they're the critters, they're the whatever, they're the little tiny cute killer things.
They're the baby Godzillas in Godzilla 2000.
Sure. They are Godzuki.
Godzuki.
No, that's a different Godzilla, baby Godzilla.
That one is a good Godzilla.
I don't know about that. But we won't discuss Godzilla.
Well, he's good in nature.
Yeah, we won't. Oh, sure, that is true. Godzuki is a hero, technically.
He is a friendly mutant.
Yeah, Godzuki is the Scrappy Doo of the Godzilla universe. Yes, but not a villain. Yeah, so it's an adorable little puppet, and it calls Captain Fun Dada.
Captain Fun Dada.
Which makes Captain Fun really happy. Before he ends up saying "kill Dada" and icicles him in the eye, which maybe would have killed him there, but he definitely dies when Marla hits it further into his face with a pan before throwing the pan, which now has the snowball stuck to it across the room. Killing Captain Fun, the worst character in the movie, so it's all good.
Yeah.
You know what, Marla? I take it back. Your character is perfect, and I love her in this movie because at least you killed Captain Fun. It scurries around as they all freak out. Bobby smashes it with a saucepan, but it reforms into a CGI monstrosity.
Yeah, that is an accurate description of what happens.
And captures it in a blender. They blend it, but the CGI, but it reforms, saying
CGI is too strong.
Yeah. They make plans to try and melt it, and we head away to Manners, who is finding tons of them in a shed, where he gets radioed from Anne to stay away from the snowballs, which he points out would have been great news 5 minutes ago. He goes to leave, but gets his fingers bit off before being swarmed and eaten by them.
R.I.P. Captain Manners.
Yeah. How dare they kill the best character? I mean, at least they killed Captain Fun, but how dare they kill Agent Manners?
Dude, I know.
So sad.
I would have loved to hear some weird line he had about bananas, but we'll never know.
I sure hope they don't kill the Colonel. That would suck.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it would. I'll be honest. I like the Colonel, but also, I think the Colonel deserves whatever may or may not happen to him in this movie.
Sure, yeah, that's fair. But I enjoy him as a character.
Fair. Back in the kitchen, we see that they tried to kill it with a waffle iron, but the CGI atrocity, but he's still a CGI atrocity. He's fine, and he's feeling toasty. They chop him in a saucepan. Sam is still rambling about the antifreeze. So Anne takes control, instructing everyone to find containers to trap the snowballs in because they can't let it, Jack Frost escape on the boat that's coming tomorrow. Yeah. So Joe, Anne, and the Colonel go out to hunt the snowballs. Because for some reason, when there's hundreds of these things and they need to get them, we're going to leave... sure, maybe Marla, she's not, if you're going to leave one person with Sam to keep him protected. But there's no reason Bobby shouldn't have also been with them. The 4 able-bodied people, should have been trying to do as much as they could to capture them. But whatever, only 3 of them, because they decided to split the cast halfway with who was staying in which set.
Yeah.
They went out, the 3 of them, with a cumulative, 5 containers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to catch the hundreds of them.
Yeah, right. You understand.
We see the snowballs are having their own party, including a conga line, and eating dead people.
Yeah.
As you do.
Right.
Not that I do, but as they do. Sorry, not. I've never eaten a dead person or a live person. But yeah, they're doing their gremlin thing right now. They're having a gremlin party. Yeah.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
We'll continue.
We cut back into the kitchen where Marla threatens to kill a still rambling Sam, which, you know what? Fair. She's been a jerk to Sam this whole movie, but at this point, Sam, shut up.
We agree with her in this moment, yeah.
We head to Joe, who vacuums up a snowball and traps it in a jar, in a scene that somehow goes on for 2 minutes. Which, 2 minutes is not that long, but that's what happens in this scene. He vacuums him and puts him in a jar. That takes me 5 seconds to say, yet it took 2 minutes in this movie.
It's quite a battle. Yeah.
Well, there was suspense.
No, there wasn't. It just dragged. It just dragged on for too long. I like this movie overall. Spoilers. This scene made me mad. I was angry. I was not happy.
That's fair.
They killed Manners, and then this scene went on too long. Come on, movie.
I think this was one of the scenes where I paused the movie to check to see how long I had left.
That's fair.
A good way to describe it.
Yeah.
We then head to the Colonel, out in the bamboo forest, about to catch a sleeping snowball, but he's surrounded before he can trap it, but he's able to just run away, because they don't want to kill the Colonel here for some reason. This is a scene that would have made sense to kill the Colonel, because he's surrounded by these things that, one of them have taken out people, but they let the Colonel go free.
Well, he's been to India.
And it's obviously because they wanted to keep the Colonel alive for potential Actually, I don't know why they did it. He probably should have just died here.
Probably.
We head to Anne, who finds a scared girl named Amanda at the bar. I think Amanda is Scared Girl in the credits, played by stunt woman and Horror Boy alum for her stunt work in The Faculty, Theresa Pink.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember her in that movie, and I don't ever bring up stunt people when we're talking about the movies, but she has technically been in a movie we have covered on this podcast, so that's cool. And she does then immediately do a stunt, which makes me think that probably is the stunt woman who is cast as Scared Girl. Because she does the classic, pulled back stunt as she's pulled back over the bar because a snowball hits her in the face and sends her flying back. Or it might be 5 or 6 snowballs, but you get the point. She goes flying back. And when she falls down there, she reveals that there's a bunch of other hiding guests who are also there, and they're all being attacked by snowballs, all presumably dying, maybe? Who knows? We never see them again, so I guess they're dead. And starts throwing things at him, eventually throwing a cocktail at one.
A cocktail shaker, thank you very much.
A cocktail, though. I mean, it was in the shaker, yes, but she throws the contents of the cocktail shaker, the cocktail, on. I stand by my statement is still right. You're right. The container it was in was a cocktail shaker, not a cocktail glass, but I didn't say what receptacle the cocktail was in, just that a cocktail hit the snowball and exploded him into a giant explosion of blood and gore.
Yeah, that does happen, yeah.
She takes the shaker to Bobby to identify the cocktail, and it's Bobby's Island Daiquiri, which includes rum, maraschino, lemon juice, sugar, and half a banana. Which
Marla, understandably goes, the alcohol must have, eviscerated him.
Yeah, must be like the antifreeze. But Sam says he wouldn't like it because he doesn't like bananas, which makes Anne remember Sam's allergic to bananas. So when his DNA
is
mixed,
now assumedly infused.
Yeah. So now that his Frost has to have his banana allergy because their DNA's mixed.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that when you're allergic to something, you blow up.
I mean, if you're also a genetically modified snowman, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We don't know.
Who knows?
Well, actually, we do. The one time we've seen it, it happens. So I guess actually we do know that's what happens.
Yeah, that is true. That is now the established canon because it has only happened once in history.
But they want to test this theory to make sure it's actually accurate and not just a fluke. So they blend the trapped snowball from earlier in with a banana, resulting in a bloody blender. So it killed it. It's dead.
Yeah.
Now it's bleeding.
Yeah.
And then Anna goes, anybody want a daiquiri? Because it is the color of a daiquiri after. Presumably, it might actually be a daiquiri.
Might be.
Yeah, now there's a banana in
There
it.
is also blood in it, though.
Blood banana daiquiri.
No. Yeah. Because it was banana and ice, and it turned into blood.
Well, I'm saying it might actually be a daiquiri, what they used on the set.
Oh. Maybe. Possible.
Probably
Trivia.
just red corn syrup and a banana.
Oh,
nice.
almost definitely.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
So like
syrup.
almost accurate.
Yeah. I don't know.
Throw some alcohol in there.
But,
Even roll.
So they make a bunch of banana, slurry, and go out.
Yeah, we get a cool banana montage.
Yeah, they rip off all those bananas. They put it in a giant thing. They make a banana goo, and they go out to hunt the balls. As they all explode when hit with banana, it's a montage set to taps that gives it like this war footage feel, and like almost makes you feel like sad for the snowballs. And it's gonna like double down on trying to make you feel sad for the snowballs, because one last snowball, barely alive, is found by Jack and dies in his arms. And Jack sheds a tear and says it's killing time.
Dude, yes.
And there's like for half a second I go like, am I feeling sorry for the killer snowballs?
For the little snowballs with their pointy ice
Not
mohawks?
fully, but like enough where I went, that's weird that they made me feel at all sorry for these killer snowballs and almost make me align with Jack Frost. These were just babies. They didn't know what they were doing. This does answer the old nurture versus nature debate, though, because they were immediately killers, which does show it is a nature thing, not a nurture thing. Jack Frost did not have a chance to raise them.
And evil.
Essentially depraved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depraved killers, yeah. They were just
We head to Bobby and the Colonel cleaning up debris, and the Colonel wants to reopen in a week, but gets an icicle through his head from behind. He's dead now. Which, with the fact that this man just wanted to pretend like 18 people didn't die at his hotel, I think maybe he might deserve to not be alive anymore.
Yeah.
He's kind of a horrible person.
That's fair, I
I'm
guess.
pretty sure he committed war crimes in India.
Probably. Yeah.
But then, poor Bobby, who's honestly done nothing wrong, also dies by getting his throat slit, with his blood splashing on a season's greeting card.
Yeah, R.I.P. Bobby.
Yeah, well, I respect like the cinematography in that scene. It's like a fun little shot of like his blood hitting like the word "season's greeting." Like, it's a silly little like small detail, but I was like, it's kind of a cool looking shot. Which is not something I say about this movie a lot. I don't go, ooh, that's a cool shot, a lot.
Yeah, most of the cinematography in this movie is passable at best.
Yeah, which like to be fair, like it does seem worse in this movie than the last movie, but it's the same cinematographer, which makes me think it's maybe like worse cameras they were given, because everything about this movie does feel cheaper. So like I want to give the director of photography a
benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt, some plausible deniability that I think maybe it was the equipment he had. It wasn't fully his fault, because like I said, this shot really cool looking. So so maybe he has vision, just he didn't have the capability to do something better. Yeah. We head to Marla and Joe cleaning by the bar, and Marla realizes it's officially their wedding day because it's now midnight, and she realized that from a watch on a like cut off arm they find, which is just it's funny, it's silly, like slapstick gore humor.
Slapstick black comedy.
Yeah. So they say some vows. They hug.
And then Jack Frost popped up.
Yeah. Well, first they kiss before Frost shows up and pronounces them dead. I believe he
Freaking dead.
Yeah, totally effing dead. Yeah. And they run away, which honestly, to be fair, probably his best quip of the movie. Not a good one, but probably his best.
Yeah.
And they run away into the kitchen, hiding in the freezer, because that's what they do in these movies. Is they run away and hide and survive.
Yeah, it's an effective strategy.
Yeah. Frost turns into a box made of snow, trapping Anne. This scene goes on for a little while, but there's really nothing else to explain that happens in it. He almost spikes her because he has spikes going through this box he's made of snow. Iron Maiden of snow. Yeah, it's like almost getting her. She is kind of vicious.
Anne does get stabbed once.
Anne does get stabbed once, and then like very like viciously is like, "You should have seen your kids cry as I killed them," or something like that. Like it's like, "Jeez, Anne, maybe Jack Frost deserves to kill you."
I wrung their little snowball necks. You should have seen it.
Their tears, I hate them. She didn't say all this, but she said like something in the nature of like, you should have seen them cry or something like that. And after that scene where we see that one that's like dying, it's like you go like, oh crap, maybe she is not innocent here.
I mean, I think Jack Frost deserves it.
But Jack Frost's kids didn't. The snowballs.
No, they did. They all were
they
murderous little.
The snowballs were innocent. They didn't know any better.
No.
They were
No,
ignorant of what they were doing, guys.
They committed murder. They deserve to die.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Only some of them kill people. Some of them are just complicit to the murders. They're not murderers themselves.
Some of them killed, some of them just deeply wanted to.
Yeah, some of them just watched others die. One of them was just on a record player spinning around for fun.
That was his whole life.
There was a whole giant conga line of completely bloodless ones who might have just been doing a conga line.
Maybe.
But you know what?
There isn't anymore.
Anne didn't take a second to wonder if those ones were innocent. She killed all of them mercilessly. So thankfully, Anne turns into a snowman, obviously eating her right now and killing her, hopefully.
No.
But then,
because in comes Sam.
Yeah, Sam shows up, and he shoots him with an arrow with a banana on it, because, hey, he did archery earlier, so it's a callback.
He mastered it, yeah.
And that explodes Frost, like, immediately. And there's just...
And then he turns into soap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big, lathery
There's also a bunch
soap.
of blood all over the place. Like, it's silly, over-the-top gore fun.
Silly goop.
Yeah. And for a while there's a lot of suspense. Like, once again, probably a scene that probably goes on for like a minute, which doesn't need to, of Sam digging around, looking like, where is Anne? And he finds her, and they embrace, and they're happy, and then he carries her off, and they talk about, maybe where are we going to go next year for Christmas? And she says Greece, and he goes, not another island. Setting up the third movie that they really hoped to have, but they did not have, I guess, and, now we will never get to have, because sadly, as we did mention last week, the actor who played Sam did pass away in 2008. So, it will not get to happen. But yeah, this movie's not quite over though, because in the credits, we see two Asian fishermen badly dubbed over like an old kung fu movie,
martial arts movie,
talking about a frozen island
movie.
and yell Jackzilla as a giant carrot destroys their boat. The captain is played by Tony Massa, and the first mate is played by Richard Wong. I also didn't even ever get to this point, because the second that part of the scene ended, I turned off the credits. But apparently after the credits, there's also like a little quick stinger of like them showing the freezer door still closed, and Marla going like, anyone there, or something like that. So like, I guess maybe Marla and Joe also might die. It's not confirmed.
Slow starvation / freezing to death.
So Marla and Joe might be dead. It's unconfirmed.
Also deserved.
Honestly, I mean, Marla should have, listened to Sam earlier on. But she was a jerk. So time for final thoughts. My final thoughts, as you definitely know, because I always end up spoiling it as I talk about the movie. But yeah, no, I think this movie is stupid fun. It is definitely better than the first movie. The ratings on IMDb are definitely wrong. This is the better of the two movies. It's not art. It's not high art or anything crazy like that. I mean, it's art. It is technically art, because I have the mindset of every movie is art, even the worst movie, because art is subjective and art does not actually mean good. I hate that society has decided that the word art means high quality, because it doesn't. But yeah, this movie is not great. It's not close to great. But it's a fun, stupid time. The acting choices from some characters is so over the top and stupid fun. There are, unlike the last movie, I feel like there are actual times where they tried to be funny, where they were this time. Like, there are multiple, Manners and Sam scenes that I know were written for laughs, and they actually, maybe not full laughs, but at least got a smirk, which is all that some movies get out of me anyway. So, big props. I really like this movie, and, it doesn't have the huge flaw that the last movie did of having a holiday character forcibly, forcing himself on a poor girl. So, you know what? Thumbs up for not doing that crap.
You did it.
Yeah. You didn't do the lowest horrible thing you could try to do for laughs.
Yep.
Props? Your thoughts, Chris?
I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. Um, I think this movie encapsulates pretty perfectly what like every B movie aspires to do.
Mhm.
Uh, like not all of the acting is like you know fun in the way that you want it to be, but I would say the majority of it, especially like pretty much all of the main characters that we get, their acting is solid enough that like the line delivery feels like the right level of campy, uh, and you can just tell that they had a good time making the movie, and it translates because you also end up having a very fun time watching them deliver these lines. Uh, like Asa was talking, a lot of the interactions between Agent Manners and Sam is just a delight. Uh, and I do love like the Colonel's like just offbeatly optimistic delivery of these very morbid lines. It's like, ah, yes, he's all right, Colonel. All right, I get it. You've done 4 crimes in India. Uh,
Terrible things.
but yeah, there's a lot of things to like about this movie. I think my main complaints would probably be the at times overplayed um, sound effects, and some of the tracks just felt like they didn't match in parts. Uh, I feel like if they had just used those a little bit less, I would have been completely fine with it. Uh, but other than that, I don't really have any like actual complaints about the movie. Uh, did have a surprisingly good time watching it.
Yeah, man. Austin's little preview that he told me beforehand and the soap opera motion smoothing camera quality that I saw when I first started the movie both prepared me to dislike it. And
Yeah.
I thought, what is Elaine's boss doing in this terrible B movie? But I was so pleasantly surprised. First by like usually in we've seen a lot of like of B movies in this podcast, especially. I've watched all the ones that are available on Netflix now, Little Brother, and you have to kind of steel yourself and develop an acquired taste and squint to see the good qualities. Usually ignoring a really wooden main character, stiff acting or whatever. And I thought that I was going to get that in this movie, and that wasn't the case. Like Sam was just the right amount of serious. He was like a perfect straight man, but not really all the time. You know, sometimes he was the funny one too, but he was like the right amount of stoic at the right times. It was perfect. And I love the goofy Looney Tunes gags, the falling animals, and the splattered like hands and feet. That's like just a step up from a big cloud of smoke with fists and feet going out of it to demonstrate a fight scene. You know, it's just goofy. I love the Muppet snowballs. I love the whole Ahab parody with the eye patch and the star and the in manners and everything. The characters are awesome. So yeah, like y'all pointed out, I mean, writing and acting really saves this movie from being bad. And the fact that it references itself so much in such a ridiculous way to make another joke on top of it saves it from being just fast food. Because usually, like, I mean, a B movie that's worth watching is pretty much just that. You know, like you can get satisfaction out of cool effects or whatnot. And this one understood, this one, like, really tried to be something more in an effortless seeming way. So I was a fan. At the end of I mean, I'm not going to call this a good movie, right? I mean, this is not, um, I don't know, Citizen Kane or whatever
People
good
consider
movie
a good
standard you
movie.
want to pull out. I mean,
There were
yeah,
also sleds in that movie, and they did talk about sledding in this movie.
are there
Sounds like it's the
sleds in
same
Citizen
thing.
Kane? I mean, yes, the similarities abound, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're in the same
But
universe for sure.
yeah, cinematic universe. But I mean, yeah, this was a fun movie, and it was more than just like shock value or impressive gore or quips or things that were funny that weren't meant to be funny. Like Austin said, I mean, the jokes actually landed. So I was a fan.
Yeah, well, try to figure out how to order the things I'm going to talk about next throughout the. So next week, me and Chris, just me and Chris, this is a one-time stop here from Isaiah for the time being. But next week, me and Chris will be starting the Child's Play franchise. I'm very excited. I love those movies.
Happy New Year!
Yeah, it's also going to be a new year. So this is our last true episode of the year. Me and Chris will do probably 30-minute retrospective on the year, kind of what we want to see happen next year. That'll come out on New Year's Eve before, so there is you have one more time to hear me and Chris's voices this year, but this is the last true episode of Horror Boys for the year, and it's been a great first year. Really happy to have Isaiah with us this week. He is and always will be a horror boy, even if he can't be on every episode right now. This podcast would not exist without him, and it is a pleasure when he gets to join us. I will be making sure he is back next summer at least once. I'm going to try to get him as much as I possibly can. But yeah, when he's not in school, I'm going to do my best to get him here. If you like this podcast, 5-star reviews on the podcast apps, patreon.com/horrorboys if you want to support us directly. I've been Austin, joined by Chris and Isaiah. And so goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.